So this is me, and I'm going to talk about, I'm Bill Gardner. I teach cybersecurity at Marshall University. I'm going to talk about neurodiversity in cybersecurity education, mainly because I'm neurodiverse. And I didn't really figure that out until after my late 50s, basically, right before I turned 60. And I just thought I was weird, or what did I do now? Just plugging things. You know, I just didn't understand what was different about me. And then I could put a name or a finger on it. And then as I explored the field, what we find is there's peer review research on neurodiversity and cybersecurity. So I wanted to bring all that together for us today. What is that? So this is me. I'm known as Onsi. I used to give hacker shout-outs, but no one has a hacker handle anymore. Or what's your hacker handles? Circa. Okay. And the others? Okay. No null threats or serial killers here? Allegedly. So I'm known as Onsi. We were just talking earlier about some of the bigger conferences, and it's kind of sad that we don't see each other as much. But thank you all for coming here. We started this conference with nothing. The first HackerCon was the size of this bunch of chairs, basically. And it's grown into what it is today. And I'm retired from the board, so if anything goes wrong, if you have any complaints, talk to Matt Perry. So here's an agenda overview for us. I'll talk about neurodiversity, an introduction to neurodiversity, what it is. It's kind of a broad term that encompasses a bunch of different, I don't want to call them conditions. It's not a condition. If you have red hair, is that a condition? No, you're born that way. And one of the things, you know, we need to move away from is being neurospicy doesn't mean you're bad. So, of course, people with red hair are bad. Some of them are daywalkers. So, you know, it's more, it encompasses a lot of different things. So we have, we'll talk about the historical movement, where we came from, where we are now. We'll talk about the cybersecurity skills gap. Is Josh Marpet in here to boo that? There are some people who says that this alleged skills gap doesn't exist, and I think it really depends on where you are in your career. Mid-career people are having a hard time right now, especially with government shutdown. A lot of people are scrambling because they find themselves out of a job. And I could go on about cybersecurity skills gap. All we really know is what, you know, people like NICE, the statistics that we're getting from employers saying they do need cybersecurity people. So that's where that comes from. And that, you know, what's the cybersecurity skills gap, and does it actually exist, is a completely another talk that I'm giving next year. I'm kidding. So we'll talk about educational strategies for neurodiverse people, or neurospicy is my favorite. I said neurodiversity at a conference, and they said, nerd diverse, can we say that? And I'm like, sure, we'll adopt that. That'll be the new name. We're nerd diverse. Educational practices for education, training, accommodations, and assistive technology. So there's a lot of words, inclusive words in here. Inclusive education, inclusive technology. I just changed a lot of those to education and technology because we should not treat neurodiverse people differently. Neurodiverse people have superpowers. So we're going to talk about that as we move forward. Inclusive cultures. No, just build a culture that does not an asshole to people who are different from you. Are we recording this? Shit. Okay. So what is neurodiversity or nerd diversity? So it encompasses a lot of different things. We mainly think is the autism spectrum. That is neurodiversity. We also have things such as dyslexia, people whose brain is wired differently in any way is considered neurodiverse, and they all fall into this category. So we have things like, I lost my place, ADHD, dyslexia, and autism are probably the ones we think of. Dyscalculia, dysgraphia, all those are neurodiversity. In Marshall, we're blessed to have a college program to support students on the spectrum, and the HELP program, which supports students who are dyslexic or dyscalculia or dysgraphic. So we're blessed to have those programs, but they're private and they cost a lot of money. And so if you're going to use those programs, they're not free. As we move forward with growing Marshall University, we're really working on trying to make those programs for everybody so you don't have to pay for them. But right now, there is that little bit of inequity. So if you're autistic and rich, you're good to go. If you're autistic and poor, we'll see what we can do. But Marshall has always been a very inclusive community for people who are neurospicy. So neurodiversity promotes a strength-based view, valuing identity, community, and unique contributions. So, does anyone want to self-support you're neurodiverse? Because I am. I'm also nerd diverse. My wife was diagnosed with ADHD at what age? At 42. The secret of life and everything. So, even if you're older, a diagnosis is sometimes useful. It's not as useful for me because other than recognizing it in myself, which was a sort of a big Kazam, it was like, hey, wait a minute, it was an epiphany. I was really shocked, and it really explained everything. Blair talks about the time I was on a call. It was during COVID, I think. And I came downstairs, and I just looked at her and said, I think I'm autistic. And she looked, duh. That explains all your stupid special interests. Mine currently is Leonard Skinnard. My current special interests, other people have trains, they have birds. Grilling and smoking meat is also considered to be one of the, so we're going to talk about where the term comes from. It was coined originally in 1998 to challenge the medical views that, and to sort of challenge the medical thought at that time. Does anyone ever seen Rain Man? It's based off of Joe Sullivan, who lives in Huntington. His mother started the college program because there weren't services for her son, so she basically invented services that gave support to college students. And Joe's still around. He's my age. He looks a lot older. He's starting to age. Unlike me, I am pickled. I've drank enough Red Bull and vodka in my time that I'm pretty well to do as far as age goes. If you want to read this work, this is based upon this paper. I forgot to put the reference page, but these are actually, this is not hallucination. This is not ChatGPT. This is actual peer-reviewed literature, and this was my original chapter 2 for my dissertation, but my committee balked because they said it was too hard. I was like, you know what's too hard? Going through life through autism. So it's, sorry, I don't have my right glasses on. I talked about doing it with my sunglasses so I could see better. So it's estimated that 15 to 20% of people are neurodivergent, underscoring the need for inclusive education and employment, and we need to work on the employment piece. I'm going to stop ad-libbing and go off the skills, off the slides, and we'll be here for 8 hours. But I like to put some panache. Well, often have been known to say I'd rather entertain than educate. So there are grassroots organizations and activists out there, and you know, when having autistic children at this time is very challenging. A lot of people have to take their kids out of school. The kind of educational supports aren't anywhere close to what they should be. I have a really good friend who ended up moving to the DC area because, Putnam County couldn't support her child. So there are advocacy organizations out there such as ANI and ASAN for self-promotion advocacy, and there's a shift from inclusion to acceptance. As I said before, neurodiversity isn't a disease to be cured. In the same way that people are born with red hair, some people are autistic. Or your mom took Tylenol. I took a bunch of handfuls of Tylenol so I can be extra autistic for this talk. Now I'm already slurring my words and talking too fast. I actually had some caffeine to slow me down, and it has not done a very good job. I should have brought my clicker. I would have thought that a conference with light up badges would have money for a clicker. I'll take it up with our other co-founder who isn't here, Rob Dixon. Oh, sure. I don't know if I can make it work. Thank you. I should have brought mine. Why don't you come up here and co-present with me? Oh, wow. Okay. Now, how do you plug this in? I really hate Apple and what they've done to Apple computers as they moved away from x86. M1 silicon processor is really great for some things, but it does not work with VMware and Kali Linux and Metasploitable and Metasploitable 2 and Windows XP, where we taught MS-08067. Happy belated birthday to MS-08067. It just passed. Rob Mubix used to make a cake every year at DerbyCon. We'd celebrate. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Has anyone seen it in the wild lately? I used to find it in the wild all the damn time because people were still using Windows 2003 servers, and there it was. You need to have an interpreter, and you could keylog and dump the passwords. Now, what are we talking about? So universal design for learning. My wife is an expert at universal design for learning. If you came to last year's talk, I apologize, because basically I used AI to assist me to make the slides, and we couldn't even see them. I had Jimmy up here reading the slides because they were so small I couldn't read them myself. So it turned into a bit or a gag. Universal design for learning is designing things so that everyone can use it and use it better. So if you have a different ability, it's good for that. Social and emotional support. If you're going to be born different, you're going to need a lot of support from the community and the people that you encounter in education. Career preparedness for neurodiverse people includes strategies preparing neurodiverse individuals with valuable careers such as cybersecurity. So this is where we get to the part about workforce challenges. So we have the shortage gap, COVID-19, which we blame everything for. It's the new post 9/11. In these post 9/11 days, COVID-19 hit, and the need for innovative training. So the needs of neurotypical learners are different than neurodiverse learners. UDL is one way of approaching that. And also not being a jackass about people who have different needs and need accommodations is part of that. I don't learn like other people. It's hard for me to read, which is funny because I'm in doc program right now. I just had to read like 40,000 books in order to do my chapter 2. So you have to find ways of getting around that. That's things like audiobooks, which there's a lot of books that have been pirated to YouTube if you know where to find them. And also AI. And AI is an assistive technology which is important for neurodiverse people. One of the problems I have is when I think something, it's hard for me to get it on words. But I can type my caveman talk into an LLM, and it can actually turn my thoughts into words that I could not eloquently say myself. So it's an assistive technology. People are using AI as a replacive technology. AI will never replace you. Well, I hope not anyway. But it does make you better, faster. And that's how we should be using AI to both teach and learn. And for students who are differently abled, AI is an assistive technology that helps them get from point A to point B. Also, if you're dyslexic, I want to write really long paragraphs. They're really fluent. But I don't spell words correctly. I miss words. I put it in AI, and it will write whatever you write it for me with the correct articles and words. Instead of saying out turns into R many times. A turns into the many times. So AI can assist you to doing that. So I am writing a Substack right now. It's called AI Assist for Better Learning. If you're a Substack subscriber, it's free. I also have been talking about the economic and environmental impacts of AI and compared it to the coal mining industry. So it's free for everyone, but if you all want it, it's $50. Okay. No. So anyway. So we need to reassess how we're teaching neurodiverse people as well. Neurodiversity is a solution. So there are strengths. Being differently wired in your brain makes you stronger at some things. You might be weak in math. You might have dyslexia or dyscalculia. Dyscalculia. It's actually a word, I just made that up. But AI can help make you better. So cognitive strengths of neurodiverse individuals are to excel in pattern recognition, attention to detail, and sustained focus. What happens when your special interest becomes your job? If your special interest becomes something like, I wrote this Python program and I need to find that one space that screws it up. And you can focus on that all night long and it's natural to you. Conditions like autism and ADHD provide advantages in anomaly detection, not with pronunciation. So the ability to look at system data and troubleshoot it and make analysis of it is very fundamental. It's easy for people with neurodiversity, neurodiverse folk. Identifying anomalies is one of the big things. So you're looking at something, you're like, dang, right. It's just sort of a natural instinct in neurodiverse people. And also, we love to build systems. This is broken, I'll build a system for it. Just because it's sort of natural to the way that we're wired. Too bad we can't get redheaded people to do that. That's called a callback in comedy. Anyway, we need to, it says inclusive hiring initiatives. We need to find ways of hiring people with superpowers, which are the neurodiverse folk, without making them jump through hoops that makes it harder to them to apply for jobs. Also, you need to make some adjustment to your interview policies. I'm sorry, I can't hire you. You won't look me in the eye. I'm sorry, sounds like you need a lot of time off to deal with things. When you get sick and this is cyclical, I can't hire you. I don't know how to put a lot of this into words. I'm going to try not to cry. just because people are not like you and can't look you in the eye, I have problems looking people in the eye. Just because someone's different doesn't mean they're not A, qualified, B, highly talented, and 3, a superhero when it comes to cybersecurity. So we need to move beyond the external first impression of those people who are neurally different than neurotypical people. I like neurospicy because I think really neurodiverse people adds a spice to life. In my wife's case, extra spicy. You know why I say that? Because I can talk about anything and she either knows about it or it's her special interest. So it makes it a lot easier to be me and to be myself. And for people who are trying to recruit to fill the cyber skills gap, you know, these are the inclusive practices. Neurodiverse people are the people we should be recruiting. Because neurotypical people suck. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? Is Brad going to see this? You going to send a copy to Brad as soon as I get in here? Talking about Brad Smith, the president of Marsh University. He used to be at Intuit, CEO of Intuit. He's been very much a champion of cybersecurity and the cybersecurity at Marsh University. I'm always afraid I'm going to say something silly and it'll be like fire or something. So we also need to engage neurodiverse learners. I heard some statistics the other day on neurodiversity on campus. And the sad truth is we don't have enough programs that are free to support all of our neurodiverse learners. But there are things that we can do to help neurodiverse learners even though they're not receiving support through the help program or the college program. So this is things like engaging learning methods, scenario-based, hands-on. We're a very hands-on based program at Marshall. We don't read a book about hacking a computer. We actually run MMAT. We're firing exploits using Metasploit. You know, we're lock picking, which I have to explain every year. It's not about picking the lock, it's about solving the problem. It's a problem-based exercise. Of course, that's hard to do online. I'm working on it. Multimodal. Some people are visual learners. Some people are audio learners. Some people are, you know, they have to do the things in order to do what you're teaching them. So accommodating varying learning styles in the same lesson is important because you got to cover everybody. And structured activities and structured breaks. I once did this really cool exercise. I took dual cores, hack all the things, and we put it up on the board, each word, and we actually decoded what it meant. Not every geek can hack into a Commodore 64, but there's a story behind that. And if you go on, what is it, Rap King or something, there's actually a website that has this, and I was having them go through this and like, list refers to this story and district, you know, what's a Raspberry Pi, what's a BlackBerry, you know, what was the other ones? But anyway, there's a whole bunch of things in there that actually relate to hacker culture. And I had a kid that was standing there saying, this is stupid. He didn't understand what we were trying to do. The other thing with neurodiverse students is they don't get my dry sense of humor. They think that I'm serious, which could be a problem. So we need to make adjustments for that. You know, if I walked in and said, well, everyone here gets an A, everyone not here fails the class, and then somebody takes that as serious, that can get me in a lot of trouble because I have a warped sense of humor, and that's how I keep people awake in my class. That's an issue too. Structural breaks too. Because we're neurodiverse, we're either very intense or we're very unintense. And so sometimes you have to take these short bursts of energy to get through something with built-in breaks. Our night classes are 2.5 hours. And basically, they're working in a lab. It's Palo Alto. It's really difficult. I actually started doing the labs with them. Before they got into it. And that's probably the most difficult labs I've done because it's esoteric. So they work for 2.5 hours. So sometimes we watch the faculty senate meetings, which are hilarious. And I show them how the sausage gets made. And sometimes we watch movies. So sometimes we watch Hackers the movie, or neurodiverse people like this noise in the background, or no noise at all. So those who don't want noise will put on their headphones. But we watch Hacker Wars. Great documentary about my good friend Weave. Wait a minute, is this being recorded? I'm glad Josh Marpat's on here. He would throw something at me. So assistive technologies and accommodations, that include things like AI, like we talked about before. What time is it? I get bored with my own lecturing sometimes. So customized learning platforms, anxiety and focus tools. Fidget toys are really good. And I know because I have about 20 at my desk. So in order to concentrate, you've got to do some fidgeting. So I think my next thing is Blair's going to help me buy like a box of fidget toys. Of course, I'm teaching all online next semester. I'm not sure how to do that, but allowing students to fidget. Since I got there, I allowed students to do 2 things at one time. Most of the time they have 2 different monitors. Many of them were playing games while we were working. If I tried to forbid them from playing the game, they weren't doing as well on the tests and quizzes. So being always active is one of the things with ADHD people. So I let them play games. And they did better on the assessments than when I told them to stop playing games. And we did the same assessment. So I let them do whatever the hell they want to, as long as they're not disruptive. Inclusive accommodation, extended time, quiet spaces, flexible assessment, promote equitable success opportunities, we actually do through the university. Somebody needs extra time, we give them extra time. We find some way of doing that. And it's not really hard to do. Most of these things cost $0, cost you a little bit of time, but it's important for student success. We also don't want to admit people into a university and then flunk them because they need a little bit of extra time. Oh, I think I just threw my back out trying to look at the slide. Organizational culture and inclusion, so inclusive supported environment. Valuing neurodiversity, caring about your students. I have students that come in my office all the time. They need someone to talk to. Or they want to talk to somebody else who is different like they are. And that's important. That's really important, is that engagement. Also collaboration, mentorship, training and leadership. Inclusive cultures and accommodations. Inclusive cultures and accommodations has gotten harder with the anti-DEI stuff that's happening. But we do our best. I don't want to get Marshall defunded, so I won't go any farther with that one. Call to action. This is the last slide for those of you who are about to go to sleep or are already asleep. And after this, we're going to drink liquor. So what do we actually do with this actual presentation I got all the way through, unlike the last one? Is Jimmy here to read the last slide? Huh? She ran away before the talk? I don't understand why. Well, thank you all. You've been very patient. Let's wrap this up with a call to action. So what do we need to do as a community? Inclusive educational practices, that includes training. That includes organizations such as OFSEC and SANS. No, I don't know if we'll be able to do that, even though before You know, hopefully that's inclusive enough for people. But we can educate all we want to, but training comes after that. I can't teach students everything. My good friend Lee Baird will be like, hey man, did you not teach them how to do this? Like, I have like 14 weeks a semester. I can't teach them all to be elite hackers in 14 weeks. Skills-based hiring and accommodations. Evaluate people's skills before you start looking at their personality. Just because they don't have great personalities, they seem strange to you, they may be a elite hacker. You need to hire them. Cross-section collaboration, academic, institution, government must collaborate to create pathways and foster a culture of inclusion for neurodiverse individuals. We're an NSA CAE school. We're a National Center of Academic Excellence designated by NSA and DHS in cyber defense. My dream is to make us, for us to lead basically a community practice in neurodiversity, because I don't think it's been addressed well on the national level. I think anything we're doing at Marshall, we need to expand. And policies and funding. You know, this is the story we also need to tell to our legislators and make them aware that this is an opportunity to make cybersecurity stronger and better, but we do need some policies and some funding. Drink all the booze. God, you all are asleep. Anyway, that's it. In the words of